All eyes on Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump US presidential race. The next 24 hours are crucial for not just the US citizens but for the world. Both are right now campaigning in Pennsylvania besides touring several swing states. While Trump is aiming to make a comeback to the White House after his awful exit in 2020, Harris is posing herself as the history maker by aspiring to become the first woman president of the country. It's the final day of campaigning for candidates and polls suggest it is a historically close race. Both Harris and Trump are holding multiple events as they try to convince voters they should be the next US president. Now, at a rally in North Carolina, Donald Trump announces that he intends to place 25% tariffs on all Mexican imports if they don't stop migrants from crossing the border. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris focused on the battleground state of Pennsylvania, and the pair will both hold competing rallies in Pittsburgh. More than 81 million people have already voted. Now, US presidential race is in its last, and now the push towards is who will be the best candidate for holding the Oval Office. Now, Donald Trump has the support of likes of Elon Musk, while Kamala Harris enjoys the support of Obama, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, as well as several US celebrities. My colleague Gauri Dwivedi, who is in Washington, D.C. and covering the US elections extensively, is joining me. Very good morning from India, Gauri. Give us an overview of who is leading in these crucial hours, who will get to the Oval Office. Will it be Trump or Harris?
A very good evening to you, Aditi. It's pitch dark here in Washington, D.C., but there is an expectation of a bright light tomorrow. Which will that light be is the key question. Whether it will be Kamala Harris or it will be Donald Trump is the million-dollar question. What I can say is that Washington, D.C. is actually a completely Democrat area. Even the last time when Donald Trump was on the ballot, he actually got 4% votes here because this is a totally blue area. So one has to discount what Washington, D.C. really has to say about this election. But once you step out of D.C. And you go around the countryside and you go around some of the Midwestern states, that's when you realize that how tight this election is. A handful of states will essentially be deciding this election. In fact, somebody was telling me that the county of Albany in Pittsburgh is where the Pennsylvania election may actually come down to, that particular county, which is both Democrat in the city side, but the suburban area is essentially Republican, and that county could hold the key to Oval Office. But having said that, as things stand right now, on the eve of the election, I've been speaking to a lot of people. What they have said is that they will go out and vote. 2020 saw record voting in America, and all studies seem to suggest that it could be even higher this time around. So the world is watching, and so is NDTV, and we'll keep giving you all the very latest from here.
Absolutely, Gauri, and that's the vibe over here. Everybody is hooked to their screens. Who will get to the Oval Office is one question which is there in everyone's mind. Not just the US, but even the world is keenly watching what's happening in the United States. My colleague Huma Ansari is also joining me from Texas. Huma, very good morning to you from India. Tell us, how is the mood like in Texas?
Good morning to you in India and good evening to Austin here in Texas. I think the mood is very ambiguous at the moment because a lot of speculation is being done that who is going to actually win this year. And surprisingly, there's a lot of support in our community. I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of support is being shown for ex-President Trump. So a lot of hopes are on him. And most likely it is because people are hoping that the economy is going to get better if Trump gets into power again. So yes, nothing can be said as of now what is going to happen, but we will soon know.
Absolutely, Huma. And you know, this is not just one issue that is there. Immigration, abortion, migrants, everything is keenly being watched. People are making up their minds. At least 87 million people have already voted in the US elections. How do you, Huma, think people are going to decide what will be the key factors. We know abortion will be a major issue, immigration, economy. These are some wider aspects of the US election, but which will be the deciding factor?
I think, to be honest, a lot of people do want to see a change if a female president is elected. So maybe a lot of women think that there will be better policies regarding women. But as of now, nothing can be said, and people do want better immigration policies in place, better healthcare policies in place, not just abortion. If you see the wider aspect, healthcare is one of the major concerns in the US, and a lot of people are finding it difficult to cope up with it. They have difficulties to afford decent healthcare over here. So I think the voter is smart, and more people are going to make a smarter choice.
Right. Gauri, if I can come to you, the key swing states, these are the ones which will be a do or die situation for both. How are you seeing the poll pitch by Donald Trump and Kamala Harris differ, and who is more appealing in those key swing states?
You're right about the fact that I think it comes down to a handful of those swing states, 7 or 8 of them, depending on how you see them right now. Pennsylvania being one of them. Second is North Carolina. Then there is Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin. These are essentially the big states where the voters could decide either Democrat or Republican. It could go either way, which is why it is swing states. Now, the important part is there are some states which have a certain voting pattern. That is the Rust Belt states. That is your Wisconsin, Michigan, and and in fact even Pennsylvania. They are those which have had large industrial activity in the past in the US. Big factories used to be here, so they have a very large workers and union worker base that has traditionally voted Democrat. But because they've also had huge industrial activity, there is a huge Republican base there as well. So this is the one layer of states that may go. One thing is for certain, the last time Trump took all 3 of them, so there is a pattern. If you get one, you actually get all 3 of them. Then there are the other set of states which are your southern belt states, where the Democrats have actually done better in the past. The bottom line is, in the last 2 elections, whether you take 2016 or 2020, the winner got 6 out of the 7 swing states, which is that Trump won 6 out of the 7 states in 2016 and Biden won 6 out of the 7 states in 2020. It is down to the swing states. Whoever gets 6 out of those 7 is headed to the White House right behind me here in Washington, D.C.
And Gauri, if we talk about the polls that are underway, that so far have showed it's a very tight race, and historically so, that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both are enjoying the same lead. It is very difficult to predict who is going to lead. But you have been in Washington for quite some time now. You have been speaking to people. How do you think who will benefit more if he or she gets a chance to be in Oval Office? And also tell us about the Indian perspective over here, the Indian diaspora. Who are they voting for?
Indian diaspora actually is very important, and in pockets they could actually be the deciding factor. In Pennsylvania, there are about 100,000 Indian Americans, and they could really be the decision and the difference between victory and defeat, which is why this specific strata of voter base, which is your Indian Americans, are being wooed, are being courted both by the Democrats and the Republicans. They are richer than the average American. They are better educated than the average American, and they also contribute much more to taxes than the average American, which is why both parties seek their votes. Traditionally, they have been Democrat supporters all along. Even now, there's a very large chunk of Indian Americans who support the Democrats. But there are 2 reasons why they may be shifting towards the Republican base. One is there's been a very concerted effort by Donald Trump to reach out, particularly to the Hindu Indian American vote base. Second is, look at the messaging that is there, which is that J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate and vice presidential nominee, his wife is Telugu speaking. 37% of Indian Americans are actually Telugu speaking, 37% of them are actually Gujaratis. Together, they're about 75 to 80%. That is a huge chunk that at this stage, Republican Party has been successful to actually reach out to. How much of that translates into votes? Well, we'll know that in about 24 hours. But this just gives you a sneak peek into how much the Republican Party is trying to get into the Indian American vote base.
Absolutely. And Gauri, my colleagues, Natasha is also joining me. Natasha, tell us how the sense is on the ground. You are in Pennsylvania, if I'm not wrong. In Philadelphia, Kamala Harris's final rally in Philadelphia. How is the support for her against a potential Trump return?
Yes, Kamala Harris has spent actually the entire day in Pennsylvania holding various rallies, including at Allentown, and her final rally is going to be behind us. You can't see it from here, but the Museum of Philadelphia, where she's going to be on the iconic Rocky Steps, giving her last speech, and she's going to be joined by musicians like Lady Gaga, as well as Oprah Winfrey. There's been a lot of excitement for her, thousands lining up to see Kamala Harris's last words, and also all the other celebrities coming out in support of her. And we're joined by two young Philadelphians who have been waiting here for more than an hour. Tell us how you're feeling as you wait to hear from your candidate.
Just excited. Just positive, and looking forward to getting our next.
What about you? And why are you supporting Kamala Harris in this particular election?
I think her fight.
All right, well, that was some voices from Philadelphia talking to you about why they are supporting Kamala Harris. And I'm going to throw it back to you. This is a crucial swing state with 19 electoral votes and really could make or break the next president of the United States.